can you just walk me through basically when you came to country, what you experienced, and what's going on with you now?
Into country, we were pushed to a training camp where SBU was putting together special units to go and do basically raiding parties or small guerrilla warfare, basically.
Now, what is SBU for anyone that might
Ukrainian Special Forces.
be? Okay.
So we were put in task with supporting them as they did raids along the front, and we would see anything from intense shelling to intense firefights to literally close combat in buildings,
Right.
going room to room. We've also encountered everything from mass graves to actually encountering Russians shooting civilians, just walking up and shooting them.
Where did you see these things?
The civilian part we saw in Mariupol. The raids took mainly along the border, like just out in the Donbass region. Most of it was all in the Donbass region.
Okay, so just walk me backwards. So you arrived in country.
2 months ago.
Okay, through Poland, I assume.
Yes.
And then
walked across the border at Medica. Medica, excuse
Right.
me. And from Medica, they transported us to the base there in Lviv,
Right.
and they put us with our special units that they
Right.
called us, and sent us out to the front from there. And sometimes we didn't even know where we were. We didn't know what town we were in, where we were. We just knew that there's the Russian front. Go and uproot them and get them out of here.
So, so you said you've had experience in Chernobyl and
Mariupol.
So we've got a little symphony going on. So these are just notes. So, but there's a nice soundtrack to this. Okay, was Chernobyl first?
Chernobyl was first.
Okay, so
We were tasked with uprooting the last of the Russian resistance at Chernobyl, and we succeeded in that.
okay, so in order to get to Chernobyl, you have to take a path, I guess, that leads you through Bucha. Did you see what was up in Bucha?
We saw mass graves in Bucha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see any atrocities being committed?
There was a factory. I guess you could call it a factory. It's a big industrial building, and
Right.
you could see Russian soldiers running in there, and you could hear them screaming at people. I don't know if it was soldiers or civilians, but you could hear the people screaming as they shot them. So more than likely it was civilians, because at Bucha I really didn't see a lot of soldiers or Ukrainian soldiers. But these dudes, they don't care. They with a straight face, they'll walk in and they'll just murder a whole family. There was a boy named Sergey that helps the Ukrainians place soldiers when they get in country. He told us about his family. The only way he made it out was his mom. While they were executing his mom in front of him, he jumped out a window and ran.
Now, this is important because, I guess the first question anyone would want to ask is, what fuels the rage or the hatred, or what was it that was motivating these people to behave this way?
There is no rage. There is no hatred. They're just doing it out of pure evil. They're just doing it because they want to. They're bored. If you have a good-looking daughter and they murder your family, they'll murder your whole family and leave her alive so they can rape her until she's dead.
Did you see that?
Yes.
You saw that?
Yes. I executed 2 soldiers trying to do it.
You're kidding. So, can you
My
explain?
nightmares have nightmares, bro. My nightmares for the rest of my life will have nightmares. I thought Iraq and Afghanistan was bad. It doesn't even hold a flame to this.
So, can you walk me through that? Are you willing to talk about that?
I don't want to go down that road.
All right, man, that's cool. That may be the most fucked up thing I've ever heard here. Okay, so when you get to Chernobyl, I was there, so I saw some of the stuff that fucking Russians are doing. They're shooting like it was like a wedding in Kandahar. They were shooting shit off in the sky. What did you see them doing there?
Trying to shoot RPGs at the reactors. Because they're bored.
Yeah. We saw. I remember early on there was this report that they had shot shells into reactor 4. Where? What did you see where they dropped the shells?
We didn't stay long enough. We pushed them hard that day.
Yeah.
When we hit them that day, they got so scared they started running.
What day was that?
I'd say about 3 weeks after I was in country.
Okay, so this was in March?
Yeah, this was back during March. It was still snowing.
Jesus. So, what do you think was their intention with holding Chernobyl? Was it to just power down the cities, or like what was the point?
I think the whole purpose behind Chernobyl, they wanted newer radioactive material so that they could make newer nuclear weapons instead of... Because if you look at a lot of their stuff that they're using now, it's not maintained. It's blowing up on them.
Right.
They're running out of everything that they had to fight this war, and they're having to resort to Cold War era weapons.
Right.
And the weapons they're resulting to, they haven't done upkeep on, so when they go to try to use them, it blows up on them. Or it malfunctions, or it works. And if it works, you know, good for them. But otherwise, I hope it doesn't work. I hope it blows all of them up.
Okay.
As a soldier, they're not soldiers.
What do you mean by that?
They're murderers and butchers. They're not soldiers. Soldiers conduct themselves humanitarianly.
Right.
We get civilians out of the way before we conduct or go and search for the enemy. We do not hurt civilians. And we do not seek out to actively harm civilians.
Right.
These guys are actively trying to harm and maim civilians. They're not soldiers. They're butchers.
Do you think this is because of like Kremlin brainwashing or their experiences in country, or?
This is because their commanders are ordering them to do this. Putin can say all he wants. He did not order them to do that. There's been plenty of soldiers that we captured and sent back that have given plenty of intelligence that they had orders to do this and that they were ordered to do it and they didn't want to do it. There are some soldiers that did not want to do this, did not want any part of it, but their families were threatened if they did not do it.
Yeah, we've heard these intercepts that the SSU has recovered, where they're basically, you hear the commanding officer saying, just shoot them all, you know? Well, what do you think was the rationale behind that? Was it just silence any potential informants or whatever the fuck?
They are waging a war of attrition. They don't measure how much ground they take, they measure in body count. That's the way they think they're going to win their war. If they drive the body count higher than the ground they take.
Okay, so in total, how long were you in Chernobyl?
Week and a half.
Okay. Did you feel any symptoms of radiation sickness?
No, because we were cautious and we weren't stupid enough to dig in the soil.
Okay, so you've liberated Chernobyl. Now what happens next?
We pushed back to the rear for a little bit, back to Lviv. We trained some new guys for another week to 2 weeks.
Okay.
Create another special unit, and then we go back and we try to get intelligence.
Back to Chernobyl?
No, we don't go back to Chernobyl. We go down to the Donbas region and start pushing closer and closer to Mariupol to see if we can do a counteroffensive or get intelligence to help create a counteroffensive.
Right. What was the state of the city at that time?
Utter destruction. It's leveled.
Completely?
Completely.
Well, like as we see on TV now?
If you look at a picture of Mariupol before the war and you look at it now, it's a complete loss. It's done.
It was like Berlin after the war.
And it's sad because these people did not ask for this.
No.
They're worthy of the help that we're giving them.
Absolutely.
It's just, I feel really, really bad for these people.
Yeah, I mean, no one asked them to have to do this.
They were going about their lives, doing what they should, and this man perverted his reason to go into this country.
Right. So, what would you say you achieved in Mariupol? What were the tangible benefits? What did you accomplish?
Yeah. We got intelligence. We got the intelligence that they needed.
Yeah.
And the intelligence that we got for them is going to provide, in later assaults and later counteroffensives, is going to be like gold.
Yeah.
I can't tell you everything
of course.
that we gathered from Mariupol, but I'm telling you what we brought back to the Ukrainians intelligence-wise is like gold to them.
Well, I guess, right now we're in this weird situation where we're not really sure what the end game apparently is. It seems like a war of attrition. I guess the thinking was maybe...
From what I have seen, to give you a little idea of what I think, to think about the end game for him, I don't think he's going to try to take the whole country now. I think he's going to try and do what he did in Georgia, and he's just going to take the coastal towns and be like, okay, we denazified the country, we did what we have. We have Crimea, we have Mariupol, we have Odessa, we have Bucha, and all these other places we've taken. They're ours. Ukraine can have this, we'll keep this, and we'll call it even. We have Belarus, and now he's going for
Moldova.
Thank you. I don't want to swear to you.
I forgot to ask you very early on, what was your role exactly? What did you do?
I was a sniper.
What was your armament, can I ask?
We were armed with an M14 and a 338 Lapua, or ABIs, the Accuracy International 338 Lapua that the British use.
Right. Is there anything about the conflict so far that you think has gone really underreported that you would like more people to know about?
People should know that the Russians don't own as much of the country as people think they do.
Right.
And the Ukrainians are not as weak as people make them out to be.
Right.
They have done excellent through this whole thing, and they have managed to do it with just the support. They don't use the foreign soldiers that they get as freedom fighters. They're not using them as direct shock troops. They have an army for that. They're using them as support to basically cover them as they move.
Right.
So they're doing all this on their own, and I am very proud of them for doing that, because they've had little training and little time, and our special forces had little time to train them, to give them that up.
Right.
And they took it and ran with it, and they've done excellent, and they've pushed the second largest army in the world. They're pushing them back. Every day they gain more and more ground.
Something of interest to me would be thinking, you've seen all this, you're experiencing all this, you're taking another path in life right now. What is your takeaway from all this?
I'm extremely proud that I could have came over here and bought them enough time to get the weapons they need to push them out of their country. That is what I'm taking away from it. Is that I helped buy a country time that needed it when nobody else was willing to do it.
Fucking A. You mentioned weapons, and that reminded me of something. So, we've been hearing endlessly on mainstream news, we're going to arm Ukraine, we're going to send them our best, weapons. Zelensky keeps asking for all this top-class equipment. Has it been filtering to the front lines?
Yes.
You've been seeing that shit?
Yes. SBU, or Ukrainian Special Forces, has top pick of everything.
Right.
They obviously get the best stuff first, but everything else is finally trickling its way down to the front line. The howitzers we sent, they're finally getting put on the front line, and they are hammering Russians every day.
Right.
So everything that's getting sent is finally getting pushed to the line and finally making it there and getting used. The javelins, the in-laws has been crucial to this whole fight.
Right.
Because without the javelins or the in-law, their armor would have dominated us.
I think it's clear that, we both have great sympathy for the Ukrainian cause, but I guess I would be remiss as a fucking reporter if I hadn't asked, were there any moments where you felt like the Ukrainians were there's endless accusations of corruption and
every government has corruption.
Exactly, right.
Every government has corruption. Every government has crooked politicians. Every government has their hand in the pie somewhere.
Did you see anything like that?
No.
Okay, that's good.
I've seen some arms room guys get in a fight about where some weapons are going to go, but that's because units needed them. But other than that, they're a very kind and giving people. I don't know any way other than that to put it. They're not an evil people.
Right.
They're very humble. They're just a very kind people. They're not like the Russians at all, that are very cold-hearted, don't care about humans, life.
Yeah.
Everybody in the Ukraine cares about each other.
Are you confident they're going to win?
Yes. I'm confident that they will win this. No matter how long it takes, they will find a way to win this. This is their country, and they want it back, and they should have it back.
Lastly, and of course, you told me this, and I thought this was the most sensational thing I've ever fucking heard. Would you be willing to tell me again this news you've heard about the Kremlin, and on what authority and what evidence do you have to support that?
Before I left, there was rumors, and then they became more than rumors because we actually started catching soldiers that were saying that Putin is sick, that he has blood cancer and is dying. And in my feeling, if the cancer doesn't kill him, the Hague will. Because they're going to try him. I mean, either way, this man has no way out of this. He's lost. He doesn't know it yet, but he's lost. There's no way for him to win this.
Right.
It's done. If the cancer doesn't kill him, if it's true, I say, like I said, some of the Russian soldiers can throw you a curveball and lie and things like that. But if it is true, I really hope that he just slowly wastes away from his cancer, and he deserves it. And if he doesn't waste away from it and he's still living, I hope that the UN sends one hell of a strike force to kill him.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Cheers. You've been listening to Ukraine Diaries.